So I'm going to have a little rant for a second. So I have to take this public speaking class, and I just kind of feel like sometimes the way the teacher has the class really is just, it frustrates me. And I keep getting frustrated at myself over stupid mistakes. So the past 2 weeks, so this Monday and last Monday, we were supposed to do our presentations for an informative speech. So I did mine on Gallaudet University, and the funny thing is I actually knew all the information I needed. It just came down to, finding sources that stated the same information and then placing it into my speech as needed so that it didn't seem like I was plagiarizing or whatever. So I got it all written out. I did my little outline thing that he needed, and I did my works cited, and I practiced a whole bunch until I got it down to the minute time that I wanted. The basis was between 5 and 7 minutes of time. So I had it down to exactly 6 minutes after I was done with all of the information. So we get into the auditorium. Now, here's the funny thing. He decided that we were going to go do the speeches in the auditorium instead of the class. And I figured maybe we would do like a workshop where we'd go in there and everyone could stand up there and figure out all like how to use all the electronics and get a feel of what it feels like to be up there, with everyone sitting in the audience staring at you and the lights blaring and, all this stuff. And we didn't. So I'm like, okay. So we go in there and I volunteered to go up because he was like, anyone who wants to volunteer can. Otherwise, he was just going to randomly say names and people would go up. I volunteered and I went up there and I got everything set up. I got the podium where I wanted it. I put my information up on the computer as needed, and I started my speech, and then I literally froze like a deer caught in the headlights, and all the information that I had in my head was gone. And I didn't want to seem like one of those people that just sits there and reads with the paper up in their face and just go do, 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 instead of giving eye contact. So I was trying my damnedest to give the speech without looking at the paper, and then I went off of the information. I went on a little tangent on the side from something that I would normally say, and before I knew it, the alarm went off, and I only had half the information said, and I did the conclusion, and I went home and cried. And I talked to the teacher. I was like, look, I did all this information. In fact, I ended up with too much information. I had to cut a lot of it down. I practiced, and he's like, don't worry about it. You're fine. So all in all, out of, let me think, it was 125 points, I ended up with 111, with the actual speech being 84 out of 100. And I mean, that's not bad, but I'm still very angry about it. Like, I can't get over it. And I'm like, maybe it's more that I'm mad at myself than I am at him. But this is where I get frustrated. So he says today today with the rest of the speeches, because we still had some people who needed to do their speech, that, okay, we're going to have a midterm test. All of the information that you need to know are on the first 2 tests, and the only information you needed to know off your 3rd test, because he had to keep that to grade them, was muscle memory or something like that. It was just one thing. Then we come in, we do a review, and we're like, okay, let's do the test. And he's like, sorry, we're going to do all the speeches first before we do your tests. And I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? I have test anxiety. I'm not even going to be able to focus on any of the other students' speeches, which they've worked hard on, because all I'm going to be doing is sitting there worrying about the test. And I actually said something to him before the first person went up. I was like, Professor, you always want us to, minimize noise, right? And that was one of the words that we needed to learn for our vocab. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, this test that we haven't taken yet is giving me a lot of noise, and I think that we should probably take care of that. And he just laughed, and I know he appreciated my comment because it made him laugh, but no go, it didn't work. I figured it wouldn't. So finally we get to the end, he gives us the test. There's 25 questions. I was able to get most of them, but there were a couple of them that had literally nothing to do with the 2 quizzes he gave us. I'm like, and I asked him the week before, are the answers that we put in for the questions the only thing that's going to be on there? Does it also include all the other stuff that we learned to take the test? And he said, it'll just be the answers that you gave. I'm like, okay, great. So I studied just those 2 tests plus that 1 extra piece from the 3rd one. And then lo and behold, look, it has all kinds of shit on there that I didn't even get a chance to actually study for because I was following his directions. I understand that I'll probably pass it just fine, but it's just, oh my gosh. I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm going to blow up in this class. And I'm not a person who blows up. So I'm just going to, just keep my head down, see what the next project holds for me, which is a group presentation, and hope that for once I can actually finish my stupid presentations, because I get almost all the way through them or halfway, and then he's like, okay, you're over time. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know.